Live from WRAL News headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
I'm tracking the potential for a storm to develop off the coast of the southeast. I'll let you know what we're thinking right now.
And safety concerns. A family is cleaning debris just before the holiday after a driver plowed into their fence. Right there, you see it. Hear from homeowners who say this is not the first time.
And boost the bottom line. A new trial shows that switching to a 4-day work week is not just good for workers. The benefits companies noticed as well.
We're going to give you this live look right now. Carolina Beach. Maybe some folks are headed there for the holiday weekend. A tropical low is likely to develop off of our coast this weekend. We'll see what that brings with it. A good afternoon to you. I'm Jeff Hogan.
And I'm Michelle McConaughey in for an H2. Thanks for joining us. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner is in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with a look at how it could affect the beaches this holiday weekend, Elizabeth.
So there's a 60% chance from the National Hurricane Center that this low pressure system could create some issues in terms of becoming a tropical system of some sort, tropical depression, tropical storm. Even if it doesn't take on any tropical characteristics, it's still likely to form there and at least produce some rain and some rip current danger along our coast. Right now, it mainly looks like Sunday, but we've seen a lot of changes in the models in the last 24 hours, mostly moving a little bit farther inland. So we'll continue to take a look at this. So this is a look at where we're seeing that potential. Here's a look at our stalled front, and that stalled front is where the low is likely to begin to form. And then that low will gradually move up the coast. This is Saturday at noon. And so this is a more aggressive version of Futurecast here, where there are a few showers that move inland there even as early as Saturday. So this is Saturday at 5 o'clock, and that low continues to move up the coast. We move it on ahead to Sunday, and you can start to see a lot more moisture offshore early Sunday morning and then into the afternoon on Sunday as well. You can see that low forming and really starting to push some of that rain inland. So the big question is, how much rain will we end up seeing on Sunday? So we'll continue to keep our eye on that. Right now, it looks like potentially up to a 50% chance on Sunday, and we'll have at least some chance on Saturday, but it doesn't look like Saturday would be a washout. Rip current danger will be a real concern with this low developing. Even if it doesn't become an official named storm, we're still going to see a moderate to high rip current danger along the coast. We'll take a look at the map and show you coming up.
Chris Levingood here in the WRAL Live Center. I do want to give you a look at RDU this afternoon to see how things are going. Pretty calm for the most part. The sky's got a little clouds in it, but for the most part, things are looking pretty good. Elsewhere, we're looking at LAX for the travel holiday for the July 4th, and you'll see it's pretty busy over there as well. But you want to know how delays and cancellations are doing. Well, we have the misery map up right here, and at last check, 450 delays are being tracked along with 14 cancellations. And as I look at this map here, there seems to be a little weather activity happening in the Northeast. Will that affect some of the travel plans, possibly having a cascading effect here locally? We're watching very closely for that here in the WRAL Live Center.
Thank you, Chris. A woman has been arrested after her car slammed into a fence and a tree at a Wake County home. This happened just after 3 o'clock this morning along Bryan Road near Garner. Look at your screen here. WRAL's Flynn Snyder is live as homeowners pick up the damage. And Flynn, they say this is not the first time something like this has happened.
Michelle, homeowners Tina Blackman and her husband say since living here for about 20 years, a car has slammed into their property at least 7 times. Take a look. This broken fence and chipped tree are results of this morning's wreck. There are also tire tracks in their yard still remaining from incidents that happened months and years ago. They say people taking a curve in the road that's near their home too fast is to blame. Now, Blackman says there are car parts lodged into trees in her front yard. They've also lost brick columns from this incident. Her home sits just off a curve on Bryan Road, and she believes speed and at times drunk driving have played a role in these crashes.
They've got a detour right now, so there's a lot of extra traffic on this road. It's very curvy. I think people take the curve too fast, and it's just changed a lot since we first moved out here.
And we're still working to learn what charges the driver involved in this morning's wreck will face. We've also reached out to state transportation officials to see if they are taking another look at safety measures along Bryan Road. Fortunately for the Blackmans, their home sits far off the road, but she says she is still left picking up the pieces from this morning's wreck after yet another wreck here on her yard. Flint Snyder, WRAL News, live in Wake County.
And Duke Energy crews were working to restore power to hundreds of customers after a serious crash in Cary. You're looking at video from the scene on West Chatham Street. Cary police say a distracted driver hit an electrical box near an apartment complex. Officers say the man dropped his phone while he was driving and lost control of the vehicle. That driver is expected to be okay. No word on charges.
Breaking news from the Supreme Court on two cases. We begin with transgender athletes, and the Supreme Court agreed to decide whether states may ban transgender students from playing on sports teams that align with their gender identity. This comes just days after upholding a ban on some health care for trans youth. The decision puts the issue of transgender rights on the Supreme Court's docket for the second year in a row. The court is likely to decide the case by early next summer. High Court declined to review a Montana law that requires people under 18 to seek parental consent before obtaining an abortion. The decision leaves in place a state court ruling that struck down the law. Montana's law, enacted in 2013, prohibits a doctor from providing an abortion to a patient under 18 without notarized written consent from a parent. A doctor performing an abortion without parental consent would face both fines and imprisonment.
And this morning, Governor Josh Stein vetoed 4 bills on DEI and gender issues. Stein accused Republican lawmakers of caring more about culture war battles than getting a state budget deal done. The new budget year began this week, but lawmakers are on vacation and nowhere close to a budget deal. Republican House Majority Leader Brendan Jones criticized Stein for vetoing the DEI bills, saying they're meant to ensure merit-based hiring in state government. We have more details online at WRAL.com. And the Trump administration is withholding $169 million from North Carolina public schools. That's pending a review. The administration said it had concerns in other states about immigrant advocacy groups and others receiving funds. Now, it's not clear whether funds will be cut after the review. The Trump administration has already canceled hundreds of millions of dollars in grants nationwide for teacher training and student mental health. You can read more about it on WRAL.com.
It appears House Republicans overcame opposition from a group of GOP holdouts who are holding up a vote on President Trump's budget agenda. Debate is now underway, and Hakeem Jeffries is trying to hold up the passage on a final vote by filibustering. He's into his 7th hour of a speech right now. Both the president and party leaders worked throughout the night to sway reluctant Republicans to say yes. NBC's Alice Barr shares debate from the House floor.
Passed the one big, beautiful bill.
After a grueling legislative battle, House Republicans appear poised to pass President Trump's massive tax and spending bill, following all-night delays, with the top Democrat in the House speaking for hours against the bill.
On behalf of the American people, on behalf of their health care, on behalf of their Medicaid, on behalf of their nutritional assistance.
Before finally voting to move ahead, President Trump worked the phones and aired his frustration, posting after midnight, "What are the Republicans waiting for?" Earlier in the day, he met with holdout Republicans at the White House, looking to ease concerns over the bill's spending, adding substantially to the deficit.
I think we got some good information from the president.
While moderate, Brian Fitzpatrick was ultimately the only Republican voting no on the procedural step, along with all Democrats, who slammed federal aid cuts projected to cost more than 11 million Americans their health insurance.
The largest cut to health care in our history, the largest transfer of wealth from working families to the billionaire class.
The extraordinary things in this bill are so important for the American people.
GOP leaders adamant the bill's key components, extending the Trump tax cuts while funding defense and deportations. And the president, who wants it all done, will prove too popular for Republicans to turn down. President Trump has been pressing all along to get the bill to his desk before the July 4th holiday break begins, with concerns that allowing more changes would have stalled momentum and imperiled funding for his top domestic priorities. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
News of passing that bill spreading to Wall Street as we take a look at stocks right now and see the reaction here. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is up significantly right now, 350 points in positive territory. NASDAQ is up over 200 points. S&P 500 is up 54 points this noon. This will be an abbreviated week as Wall Street will be closed tomorrow for the 4th of July.
And good news today from the Bureau of Labor. A strong report reveals job seekers have more options if they are looking for work. The U.S. economy added 147,000 jobs last month. That's higher than many economists forecast. The report is also a slight bump from the 144,000 gain during the month of May. A new trial also reveals that it is not just workers who stand to benefit from a shorter work week. Some companies also recorded an increase in revenue and fewer sick days from a 4-day work week. During similar experiments in the U.S., the UK, and Germany, workers reported being happier and healthier.
The Durham Housing Authority's development on Main Street is underway. The group asked the city for a loan related to its public housing portion. It cites issues with getting rent payments from some of its residents. City Council unanimously voted to grant that $1.5 million loan, and the money will go toward outstanding payments for water service and electricity.
Next at noon, anti-slavery scroll, where this historic document was discovered.
Also, power poles crashing down on cars. How a man caught right in the middle of it all was able to escape.
Plus, high noon holiday travel, the ramp up to the busiest travel week in years.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.
An album release party takes a deadly turn in Chicago. Police say 2 men and 2 women were killed, dozens more injured during a drive-by shooting in downtown. Witnesses say the shooting happened around 11 p.m. as people were leaving a nightclub. Police say a dark-colored vehicle drove past and fired shots into a crowd of people.
They need to find these people because if they've done something like this, they're going to do it again. They think it's okay. And in Chicago, it's not okay. And I absolutely hope they find this person.
Officers say 2 of the victims include the boyfriend and best friend of the rapper Mello. Her condition is unknown. Police are searching for the shooter or shooters.
Police in Washington, D.C. are also searching for the shooters who killed a congressional intern and injured 2 others. Eric Jackham was a rising senior studying politics and finance at the University of Massachusetts at Amherst. Kansas Republican Ron Estes released a statement reading in part, "I will remember his kind heart." Officers have recovered the vehicle involved in the shooting. However, no one is in custody. The National Association of the Deaf is suing to require the Trump administration to provide American Sign Language interpreters at all White House press briefings. The NAD says failing to do so prevents hearing impaired Americans from receiving critical information in real time. The Justice Department argues closed captioning and written scripts provide the community with meaningful access. The Biden administration staffed its press briefings with qualified ASL interpreters. Trump ended that practice on the first day of his second administration.
Historians stumbled upon a 180-year-old scroll signed by Baptist ministers opposing slavery. They found this document in the American Baptist Church's archives in Massachusetts. The scroll, coined the Declaration and Protest Against Slavery, was written in 1847. It stretches 5.5 feet and contains 116 signatures from Baptist ministers. One reverend explains the history between the scroll and slavery.
It's significant to our history because it gives you a sense that as Baptists, we're very big into social justice. And there's a fine line between being political and having social justice. But that document speaks so much as to that time as it does in a lot of ways to today's world.
Wow. Church historians say the issue of slavery split the Baptist denomination. The Southern Baptists started in the 1840s because some supported slavery.
A tragic crash in Spain kills Liverpool soccer star Diogo Jota and his brother. The celebrated Portuguese soccer star recently won the English Premier League with Liverpool Football Club. Police are uncertain if Jota and his brother Andre were driving the Lamborghini when the tire burst, causing that accident. Well, Jota just married his long-term girlfriend 2 weeks ago, and the couple had 3 children together.
It's devastating. Well, dash cam video shows the moment extreme weather snapped power poles like dominoes in Las Vegas. You just saw that. Oh, my goodness. Before we show you the video, we are showing you the video, and we want to assure you that everyone is okay, thankfully. Watch as a line of poles just come crashing down on top of half a dozen cars. The man driving the car says he is okay after he was able to climb out of that damaged vehicles. Experts say if you find yourself in a similar situation to this, stay in the car until that area is de-energized.
More than 1,500 people scrambled to evacuate homes and hotels on the Greek island of Crete as firefighters struggled to control a wildfire. Greece is like much of southern Europe right now, experiencing a heat wave. More than 200 firefighters battled the blaze on several fronts, but gale-force winds and the rugged mountain terrain is making that much more difficult. Fortunately, there are no reports of any injuries or deaths.
That is some good news there. I am in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with Elizabeth Gardner taking a look over Southern Pines. What a great day to be outside.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Now, it is hot and humid.
Yes.
Sometimes when we have a cold front come through like we saw yesterday, we get a little bit of a break behind it, but that's not really what's happening out there right now. Still, it is not stopping all of Jeff's friends who are out there right now. Jeff looked up, what? He's on his way. He just left to meet them. But this is Longleaf Golf and Family Club, and it's a little bit of a breeze out there, and hopefully that is making it feel a bit more comfortable. What we won't have to worry about is all that heavy rain that we saw yesterday. It was good to get that good soaking, especially right before a lot of people are headed out for the holiday. 86 right now. We'll climb to 92 this afternoon, and it'll feel more like mid to upper 90s. Right now, it feels like 91 in Durham and Raleigh with that temperature of 86. Feels like 90 in Rocky Mount, 91 in South Hill. Feels like 90 in Southern Pines. So we're running about 5 degrees above the actual temperature in terms of the heat index right now. So that's going to put us at mid to upper 90s for a heat index this afternoon. 92 in Raleigh, 91 in Durham, 93 in Fayetteville. Those are the high temperatures that we're looking for later on. Now, it does look like we'll get a little bit of a dip in our muggy meter by Friday and Saturday. Sunday and Monday, we're going to be watching that potential tropical system developing. Even if it doesn't become a tropical system, it's going to be a coastal low that pushes some moisture our way. A lot of it is probably going to stay to our east, but it probably will send, a bit of moisture our way. So Sunday and Monday, we get a little bit closer to feeling tropical, and that just means our heat index will be higher. So you can see by Monday, the heat index could be back up to 102. But for the next several days, it's still going to be high. We could be, up to 99 today and 97 Friday, a little lower Saturday and Sunday, and 93 to 96. I don't know if you can really tell that much of a difference, but at least for the most part, we're below the triple digits. All right, fireworks forecast. A lot of towns are doing their fireworks displays tonight. As a matter of fact, Wake Forest, Garner, Smithfield, Apex, around 9 to 9:30. Make sure you go and, check our website. Go to WRAL.com. We've got a whole list of all the fireworks all weekend long. Yesterday there were 1 or 2, some tonight, some tomorrow. Cary's fireworks are actually tomorrow, but they're having a celebration in the park this evening. Temperatures will be around 81. Fireworks tomorrow, likely to be right around 80 degrees. We do have a small chance for showers or thunderstorms this afternoon, or late this afternoon, and again, a very, very small chance on Friday. Saturday looks fairly dry, but add that chance for thunderstorms back in for Sunday, depending on the path that particular coastal low will take. It does look hotter for Tuesday and Wednesday. We're back to a chance of thunderstorms and, creeping up to around 95. But of course, by that point, a lot of folks are home and maybe back into the air conditioning. We're going to take a second look at that potential tropical system that could develop off the coast coming up in just a few minutes.
Thanks, Elizabeth. 23andMe data protection. Customers are concerned about what will happen to their sensitive genetic data. And tonight at 5:30, we'll hear from North Carolina's Attorney General about the company's bankruptcy sale and how you will be able to track where your DNA ends up.
And more help for injured turtles. The new bill that would give a local rescue a boost to help get them back into the wild. That's coming up at 6. And still ahead this noon for a child-proof checklist. The surprising spots that could put kids at risk if you were throwing a summer party.
Team players, how a new partnership between Netflix and Spotify could create a hit playlist for customers. Planning to host a 4th of July bash before you fire up the grill. 5 on your sides. Keely Arthur shows you how to throw a safe celebration, especially if kids are on the guest list.
Hosting a party at home can be a blast, but it also means taking extra steps to keep kids safe. And here's what you need to know to baby and kid-proof your home before guests arrive. First, locate button batteries, which are found in household items, toys, and even party favors. Those can be deadly if swallowed. Keep unsecured ones out of reach or just throw them out. Next, think about big things like furniture. Kids love to climb and they love to explore. So make sure your furniture and your televisions are anchored to the wall. Consumer Reports tested several furniture anchor kits and recommends this metal simple wood mount kit for wood studs behind drywall and this Quake Hold kit for metal studs behind drywall.
Take the time to find
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
TSA expects more than 18.5 million people to pass through the airports by traveling through air Monday, July 7th.
Yeah, and most of those travelers are expected to travel on Sunday, with nearly 3 million passengers expected to be screened. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey has what you need to know as you get ready for your flight.
We're expecting to see a lot of travelers here at RDU over the next few days. You can even see a few people here in the TSA security line right now. But we'll show you video from when the line was really long earlier this morning. Nearly 6 million people will be flying to their July 4th travel destinations, according to AAA. That's the highest on record. TSA made a big announcement yesterday just in time for the holiday. They're now offering a $25 discount for TSA PreCheck to all military spouses and uniformed service members. We spoke with the Kula family just before they boarded their flight to Aruba today.
So excited. We haven't traveled together in a while. She went off to college last summer. I just graduated, so it's really fun being all together.
And just keep in mind, if you have plans to fly, the REAL ID requirement is now in effect. If you don't have one, there's no need to panic. You can still use your passport or another acceptable form of ID. You just may have to go through additional screening. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News at RDU.
And we're also tracking your travel traffic here in the WRAL Live Center. And I'm looking at I-87 right here at US 64. And you can see a lot of cars out on the road. A lot of people are trying to get ahead of their 4th of July celebrations. In terms of any crashes, there are 3 different crash icons that I came across. But this is the most severe one, according to our sensors. This is a crash on West Morgan Street in the eastbound lane near US 401 on McDowell Street. This is in downtown Raleigh. And we're trying to figure out if there are any injuries with this. It's not saying just yet, but it says it's a pretty severe crash. So we'll just try to see if we can reach out to investigators to learn more. But one last camera I'll leave you with here, I-40 at Garner Road. Again, pretty busy as people are getting prepared to head out of town and maybe somewhere else for their 4th of July plans.
All right, thank you, Chris. Tonight in Garner, the town is hosting its Independence Day celebration at Lake Benson Park. There will be food vendors, a kids zone, symphony, and of course, fireworks. There will be free parking and shuttle services from South Garner High School. The event kicks off tonight at 5 o'clock. And over in Smithfield downtown, that downtown area will come alive for Independence Day celebrations. The fun starts at 5 p.m. It'll include music, food trucks, and locally grown watermelon. The night will end with a fireworks display, and a full list of July 4th events can be found on WRAL.com under Out and About. Even more July 4th festivities are almost here. WRAL Out and About has a map and list of more than 24 local fireworks displays and Independence Day festivals. That includes Raleigh, Durham, Cary, Apex, Garner, and Clayton. Just search fireworks on our website, WRAL.com.
Power's back on for more than 1,000 customers near the Raleigh Village District. This was caused by a downed tree on Bellwood Drive. WRAL Breaking News Tracker was there just moments after it happened, and WRAL's Ali Kadlubar shows us the lengthy restoration process.
Yes, a tree fell onto a traffic light like this one around 4:30 a.m., shutting down this stretch between Clark Avenue and Peace Street, leaving hundreds without power for more than 5 hours. This is video from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker early this morning. You can see a tree knock down stoplights. You can also see them blinking yellow and red on the ground. It pulled down utility lines and snapped a power pole. Tree removal, City of Raleigh and Duke Energy crews spent hours cleaning up the mess. Around 6 a.m., the number of outages dropped from 1,000 to 200 customers without power. Luckily, it didn't cause any major delays for morning commuters. Reporting in Raleigh, Allie Katlabar, WRAL News.
Back into the WRAL Live Center for a breaking update from the Associated Press. They are saying that the first immigrant detainees have arrived at the so-called Alligator Alcatraz in Florida and the Everglades center there. This is video from when some unmarked vehicles began to arrive at that facility just yesterday. In terms of how many people have arrived, that's not quite clear just yet, or how long they'll even be here. But this is an effort from lawmakers and the Trump administration to crack down on illegal immigration into the United States, and anyone caught committing some kind of crime here in the United States who happens to be an undocumented migrant. But we'll be watching to see what happens in regard to this, because it's a pretty new facility that they managed to put together. But again, this is the latest update that we're receiving here in the WRAL Live Center.
A man is in the hospital after this box truck flipped over right there on the off-ramp of I-540 onto I-40. It was quite a scene there. The WRAL Breaking News Tracker was on it, and you can see that ramp was shut down. This happened just before 4 o'clock yesterday, and police believe speed and alcohol were factors in the crash. The driver is expected to be okay. We're still working to learn if he'll face charges.
Also this afternoon, people who live in Raleigh's Village District are pushing for change after a couple was recently hit by a car while crossing the street. Kevin Acey and his wife Lori were visiting from Utah when they were hit by a car at the corner of Clark Avenue and Oberlin Road on Friday. Both suffered cuts and broken bones. Kevin says it happened almost too quickly to process. And one person that we spoke with who lives in the district says this is all too familiar, as he was hit 2 years ago as well.
I hit something hard on my left side, and then I was flying in the air.
I was horrified and not the tiniest bit surprised.
And Raleigh city leaders plan to bar right turns on red in areas like the Village District. There is not a timeline yet for when those changes will come.
A first-of-its-kind transportation project in Raleigh is one step closer to reality. City leaders awarded a $28.6 million contract for Part 1 of the Bus Rapid Transit project. The whole project will add dedicated bus lanes and stations along New Bern Avenue from downtown to Sunnybrook Road. Phase 1 focuses on construction from downtown Raleigh to Pool Road.
It really focuses on the horizontal roadway work and the underground utility work that needs to happen to set up for the vertical stations that will come in the future, as well as some of the other activities in the future.
Project leaders say construction should not affect access to driveways or businesses. That work is expected to start this fall.
As we inch closer to 4th of July celebrations, there will be plenty of fireworks. We're sharing safety tips when it comes to protecting your hearing.
And a beautiful garden growing on the west side of Chicago is getting a lot of attention. The story behind it and what visitors are saying. We would love to connect with you online. Just follow WRAL on Facebook to join the conversation. Well, even with those clouds right now, White Lake looks inviting. Good afternoon to you as you watch WRAL News, available on Spectrum and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device.
People across the nation are looking forward to fireworks displays, and while many experts are highlighting the dangers of setting off those fireworks, another concern can be heard right away. The loud booms can prompt tinnitus or ringing in the ears. Explosions from fireworks can be louder than a jackhammer or a plane taking off, making it a severe risk for hearing loss. But you can take precautions to limit damage to your hearing.
We often even suggest doubling up on hearing protection, so wearing foam earplugs plus earmuffs over your ears to really reduce that decibel level.
Also, keeping a safe distance from the display can also help reduce the risk of hearing loss.
Apex is getting ready for tonight's fireworks frenzy with something new this year. Sensory-friendly features to make the event more inclusive. The event is being held at Hunter Street Park. It'll include a drone light show starting at 9 o'clock. That is designed to be a quieter, more accessible alternative to fireworks. Organizers are also offering a sensory room and free sensory bags with noise-canceling headphones, sunglasses, fidget toys, and a How I'm Feeling stick to help guests express themselves.
It's the first year we're having a drone show. We have done fireworks before, but they wanted to do a drone show because it's more sensory friendly, and fireworks are hard for dogs, just really anybody. And so they wanted to have an element so everybody could enjoy the evening.
So they'll have that first part, and then they'll have a brief break to allow families to relocate to quieter areas before the traditional fireworks start at 9:30. Fireworks Frenzy will also feature food trucks, live music, and kids' activities, and it all starts 5 p.m. tonight at Hunter Street Park. Fourth Foods celebrate the holiday with some classics, and we'll share the story behind some staples. But first,
because you can't share your workday, and sometimes that gets frustrating and your family starts to feel alienated.
Healing Garden, a police officer's love of nature becomes a source of mental health.
Carolina Mudcats are making the most of the time they have left in Zebulon. The team is moving to Wilson next season, where they will become the Warbirds. But tonight, Muddy's four-wheeler returns for the first time in a decade. It'll be part of the team's America Fireworks Extravaganza at 5 County Stadium. What a sight.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. And a beautiful garden is growing on the west side of Chicago, and it has become a magnet for police officers. Noelle Brennan shares the healing power of plants and flowers.
So I'm gonna need some help just for you to grab. I have to turn it upside down.
Okay.
Just grab the pot off.
When a gardener cares for plants,
And now we place that.
he takes care of himself too.
And this kinda is just my complete escape, my release. It gives me the opportunity to get out here, get with the earth, even early in the morning.
Years ago, Doranis Cooper
So that's good.
planted a garden outside his Garfield Park home.
I call it my grandma's garden. It's my garden that I dedicated to my grandmother.
This is like the biggest planter I've ever seen.
Yes, believe it or not, it's not very heavy because it's plastic.
The garden grows new admirers every day,
So now explain that to me.
like Carmen Navarro-Jacone
The connection, it feels fabulous.
and Wayne Langdon.
It's a release. It's gorgeous. The colors, like, it's serene.
So I'm cutting these off, even though they're good.
Most days, Doranis plants and prunes by himself.
So all I do is just repeat my process.
Yeah.
But today, the gardener invites guests who understand his other line of work.
I'm a police officer, and I've been doing it for 25 years.
I'm retired law enforcement. I worked for the Cook County Sheriff's Office for 27 years.
I'm an investigator with the Cook County State's Attorney's Office.
Wayne and Carmen are leaders of a nonprofit called Women of the Shield.
We help young women who want to get into law enforcement or are thinking about a career in law enforcement and try to provide them with the tools and the resources that we didn't have when we came on.
These are my thrillers.
They've come to Doranis' garden to learn new tactics for self-care.
A person's not going to know what it's like until they're in it.
True.
You know what I'm saying?
True.
We're trying to normalize that. Like it's okay to be afraid.
These officers know the job can be unrelenting and unpredictable.
Now I'll pass the shower, but I'll take it. Sometimes you're going to see things at work that you can't process.
Because you can't share your workday, and sometimes that gets frustrating and your family starts to feel alienated.
Going to work, dealing with what we deal with, it's not normal.
You need some way to decompress and allow yourself to calm down, and this is what has helped me out.
And now, a cop with a green thumb can help his sisters in blue.
We're just talking to anybody with a green thumb, has a special talent. And
As we wrap things up, here's a look at a few of the headlines we are following today. A woman faces charges after slamming her car into a fence and a tree at a Wake County home. It happened just after 3 o'clock this morning along Bryan Road near Garner. The homeowners say this has happened at least 7 times over the last 20 years. The home sits just off a curve on Bryan Road. The couple that lives there believes speed and at times drunk driving have played a role in these crashes.
Duke Energy crews are working to restore power to hundreds of customers after a serious crash in Cary. You're looking at video from that scene on West Chatham Street. Cary police say a distracted driver hit an electrical box near an apartment complex. Officers say the man dropped his phone while he was driving and lost control of that vehicle. The driver is expected to be okay. No word on charges.
And this morning, Governor Stein vetoed 4 bills on DEI and gender issues. Stein accused Republican lawmakers of caring more about culture war battles than getting a state budget deal done. The new budget year began this week, but lawmakers are on vacation and nowhere near close to a budget deal. You can read more on WRAL.com.
Have you ever wondered how some foods become classic staples for the 4th of July? From apple pie to hamburgers, who decided those dishes needed to be part of the cookout? Well, oddly enough, some of our favorites were inspired by other countries. Hot dogs came from sausages brought over by German immigrants during the 1870s.
The Chicago World's Fair in 1893 brought about the popularity of what we might call the modern hot dog. The type of sausage was called the Dachshund sausage, named after the dog. So it isn't a big jump to kind of shorten that into a simple hot dog.
German immigrants also helped popularize a side dish. Their recipe paved the way for potato salad in America.
You learn something new every day.
Right on.
Well, some new additions to the Chester Zoo in the UK are sure to be star attractions. The zoo welcomed some Humboldt penguins this week. That's one of the most at risk out of the world's 17 species of penguins. The 8 chicks began hatching from the middle to end of April and spent their first few weeks of life in their nest burrows with their parents. They are all named after constellations and celestial wonders such as Orion, Cassiopeia, and Xena. They are so cute.
Also, our pet of the day, a very happy boy for the SPCA Wake County. Toby is a 10-year-old neutered male dog, little wiggly guy right there, 26 pounds, greets everyone he meets. Toby lived with other dogs before and did well. He has great leash manners.